And now we have access to an extensive range of real-life products through the Assa Abloy catalogue. Welcome to another CAD Swift video. We hope you're having a wonderful and productive day, and hopefully we can help you be even more productive. In this episode, we'll be demonstrating the door opener component of Infinite Openings. You won't find door openers and closers in other tools, hence they only exist in schedules as manual entries. So there is no inherent relationship with the model, it is not automated, and you cannot examine the design and functionality or perform any clash detection. This can cause many problems, as typically doors that require automatic openers and closers do so for performance, health, and safety reasons. So imagine the issues that could arise if you can't QA this feature within your model. Therefore, we have included door openers in Infinite Openings. So let's have a look. We have here a typical solid core internal door that we wish to apply an opener to. Select the element, go into the settings, navigate down to our openings and the opener and click on the link to the page. Turn the element on. You can see there's also an option to turn it on and off in 2D because most often you don't want to see this element in your 2D documentation. As you can see, there are several components to this element and many values to adjust. We start with the positioning, so the component can be positioned based on the wall, the frame, or the panel, and it can be internal, external, or centered on either of those elements. There are several arm types, from concealed through to single arm, your typical scissor arm, and then several square set configurations of different styles. There is also the connection element, which can be a point or a rail, or you can turn it off completely. Once you have assigned your components, you can then go and adjust the size of these components and the positioning of all these elements to achieve the exact configuration you need for your design. Let's have a look. So in this first element, we have used the single arm and we have used the point connection. At the moment, that is connecting from the wall to the frame, so it's actually not going to act on the door at all, so we need to go in and adjust some of the heights. The easiest way to do that is to set the positioning of that connection. So it's currently at a -20, it's 20 mil down from the unit. We've probably got a 40 mil frame in there, so we'll probably need to set this down maybe about 60 mil. Let's have a look. And there we go. Now it's positioned on the panel. If we have a look at this from the bottom up, you'll see that that's connecting to the panel. That aspect is automated with the calculations of the code. Let's have a look at a couple more styles. Let's have a look at the concealed element. This is not really the configuration that we have here when it's attached to the wall. So when we're using the concealed element, we would typically set that to the frame and centered, and there would not need to be a connection. And you can see that then gets concealed within the frame, and we need to adjust the positioning of this arm that you're not going to see because that arm will be hidden within the panel, but we should get it right anyway. The way we do that would be adjusting this connection. Let's just set that to a -10 because it will not need to be far off the actual unit. Okay, so that's the concealed. Let's have a look at some of the more typical configurations. We'll move this back to the wall, and we'll assign our scissor arm. Now we're going to need to adjust the positioning of this connection as well. We're going to need a connection. Scissor arm, typically a point because the moving element is the actual scissor, so the point is usually a fixed point on the door panel. And we'll need to set this to go below the frame, so we'll need to be back down to that -60. Click OK and have a look. Looks like we've got it on the wrong side of the door. Let's just swing around to that side and have a look. Okay, so you can see that element. This is a little large in here, so we typically move this other element down here. So it's set at -5 at the moment, down to a -60. We'd probably do that more like a halfway point, so -30. There we go. And we'd probably shift the whole thing over to the side a little bit more as well. So this one's 70 to 70, and let's adjust the positioning of this point here as well. It doesn't need to be so far away. Okay, so that's a little bit more typical. Let's go back into the element. You see you can also adjust the angle of this element. So you may want that section to be straight and that section to be angled, so you need to adjust that a little bit. Let's just set this to 30, and now you can see that configuration. Let's now have a look at some of the square set options so you can see the different styles we have. So we have square set. This is a fixed element. So I'll just show you that first in 3D so you can understand what I mean. So that's a fixed piece, so it doesn't adjust. So this point is not going to work so well because it'll probably try and rip that out of the door if you understand sort of the maths of moving in that arc. So what that'll typically need to be is the rail connection, and that's why we ever put this rail connection in there. So rail, and the rail will not be so short, it'll be much wider than that. Click OK. And now that gives that arm the ability to slide along that rail as the door opens. Within the square set, we also have a square set first. So this is referring to how the square arm moves. So there's now a sliding element within the square arm. So with this element, you can have a fixed point. So let's do that at fixed point and set it back to a more normal size for a fixed point. So as you can see, it's got this element here, so that can slide in and out with that element as the door moves. If we go to the next one, okay, so you can see that element slides in and out of there as the door moves. So this can be assigned to a fixed point or even to a rail if that element gets locked down. And we also have this second style here. There's quite a few styles available on the market, so that's why we have allowed for all these different styles within the tool. So basically you can go into a catalogue and find a series of these elements and start to create the exact opener configuration that you want. However, that sort of work can be a little bit tedious, so we have a way to do this a lot more efficiently, and that is through our collaboration with Assa Abloy, who have kindly subscribed their automatic door openers and closers to Infinite Openings. So let's have a look at that catalogue. Back into the tool, because the catalogue is built into the tool, you don't have to go somewhere else for it. Open up the catalogue panel over here and we switch to the Assa Abloy catalogue. That loads, and now we have access to an extensive range of real life products through the Assa Abloy catalogue. Let's have a look at this first one, the panel mounted. So you can see we can access a complete configuration that is a real life product in a single click. Click OK, and it's applied. Now we can examine how that works within our element. You can see it doesn't quite fit within our door frame, so we know that that's not going to be the right product for this design, or we know that we need to modify our design a little bit to suit this element. So perhaps we select a different component from the Assa Abloy range. This element assigns itself to the wall and has a rail. So this is their SW100 pull, and there we go. So now you can see we've got the Assa Abloy mechanism up here, and we can examine exactly how that's going to work with our design to ensure that we have enough clearance between our frame and the connection to our panel, and also if we have any other elements around this door, lighting or some other aspect that we want to include, whether or not this will clash with those elements. Have another look at the catalogue to see what other components we have. We have a typical scissor arm sort of element. This is their push. So that was the pull element for pulling the door open. And this one is for pushing the door open. And you can see the geometry in there that replicates the Assa Abloy component. So you can examine exactly how this is going to work with your design. Assa Abloy have provided quite a lot of components for this tool. There's even several opening elements for double doors, and some of these include different opening types for push-pull, for the doors to open in different directions as well, or the push. There's their in-swing, and these are more concealed elements, part of another product. And then you can see we have a series of panel mounts. We also have their low energy and high performance elements in there as well. So this will automate your schedules as well. So rather than working in the other way where you do not have the opener, closer in the model and you manually type in the Assa Abloy high performance into your schedule and you don't get that connection to the model, this not only gives you the model that you can examine and ensure that it's going to work, but it also automatically populates your schedule with the component name. And as you can see, there is quite an extensive list of Assa Abloy products within this tool. So we hope you'll be able to make good use of this functionality to quality control your design and ensure there are no errors on site, to automate your specification and enable you to comprehensively deal with the performance, safety and health functionality of your project. Thank you for watching.